Welcome to The Newsworthy. All the day's news in less than 10 minutes. Fast, fair, fun, and on the go. Thank you so much for listening. Today, we are talking about the big Supreme Court shakeup and the latest ruling, plus a World Cup update, Oprah on Hulu, and more private video chat. All that and much more in less than 10 minutes. And hang out today after today's news for 3-Question Thursday. We are talking about millennials and money.
And they're already starting behind in terms of their net worth.
I'm Erica Mandy. Today is Thursday, June 28th. You ready? Let's do this. When the U.S. Supreme Court makes a ruling, he's often the guy who has the deciding vote. And now he's leaving. Justice Anthony Kennedy has been a supporter of gay rights and has taken a more liberal view of things like abortion and the death penalty, but he's been more conservative when it comes to voting rights, gun control, and campaign spending. The 81-year-old justice was sworn in by Ronald Reagan, and now he is retiring this summer. The New York Times calls it a, quote, judicial earthquake. It could give President Trump a chance to make the court even more conservative. CNN reports Roe v. Wade could be at risk. That's the case that made abortion legal nationwide. But whoever the president nominates will need to be confirmed by Congress, and that battle has already begun. Republican leaders are saying they'll move quickly to get Trump's nominee confirmed this fall. They have the majority in Congress, so they wouldn't need Democrats' support. But Democrats are calling on them to wait until after the November midterm elections to let voters decide who should be in Congress to help make that decision. Remember, once a U.S. Supreme Court justice is confirmed, it's a job for life, or at least until that person chooses to retire. President Trump already nominated Justice Neil Gorsuch to the court. Now it looks like he'll have a chance to nominate another. And more Supreme Court news. This one is a big setback for public unions. The highest court ruled it's not okay to force public employees to pay union dues when they're not union members. Like a lot of the decisions lately, it was split 5-4. The Washington Post reports this ruling affects what's known as agency fees or fair share fees. They're fees that workers must pay even when they choose not to be a member of a public union. Think teacher unions. Supporters of those fees say they stop people from getting the benefits of union negotiations for free, as in pay your fair share. But legal challengers said the fees are unconstitutional and violate First Amendment rights, that workers' money may go to political causes they don't agree with. The court agreed with that one. Some experts say unions may not be able to survive this in the future. He's an ex-Fox News exec, and now it sounds like he's heading for the White House. Several media outlets are reporting Bill Shine has accepted a senior communications role for President Trump. The Wall Street Journal says it won't formally be the director job, but something pretty close. ABC News says expect an official announcement by the end of the week. Shine was one of the execs that left Fox News last year during sexual harassment scandals there. Reports say he was never personally accused, but his handling of the accusations came under fire. It looks like the deal is getting done. The Justice Department just gave the stamp of approval for Disney to take over a good chunk of 21st Century Fox. Remember, the two companies agreed to a deal a while ago until Comcast swooped in and offered more. Disney came back with a sweeter deal, more than $71.3 billion, so Fox accepted again. And now that the government has said all good, Disney is planning to take control of Fox's movie and TV studio, as well as its stake in Hulu. But the Wall Street Journal reports there is one condition. Disney can't have any Fox sports networks. The Justice Department says that would lead to higher prices in sports programming, so Disney said, deal. Now a federal judge just needs to sign off. By the way, Fox News and Fox Broadcast Network are not part of this. They weren't even for sale. If it all does go according to plan, though, this will be Disney's biggest purchase ever. And speaking of Hulu, Oprah's voice was just on The Handmaid's Tale. The showrunner told Variety they heard Oprah was a fan of the show, so they asked her to be on it. That's what happens when you're Oprah. Two of the biggest tech companies have agreed to a truce. Bloomberg reports Apple and Samsung have had lawsuits between them since 2011. Apple accused Samsung of copying the iPhone. But now the two companies told a judge they've settled and they're ending the last legal fight. The lawsuits have cost both companies hundreds of millions of dollars in legal fees. It's already starting to feel a bit like Christmas, at least at Kohls. CNBC reports the company is starting to hire seasonal workers for the holidays now, earlier than ever. Why? Well, remember that report a while back about a more competitive job market these days? It means top talent is taken quickly, and Kohls wants to get a head start. Well, it's time for a World Cup update because today is the last day of group play. 4 more matches, and then we'll know the 16 teams that will move on to the knockout round. Already, the defending champ Germany is out. There were 2 upsets. First, Mexico beat Germany, and then South Korea beat Germany yesterday. CBS News says it's the first time Germany has not even gotten out of a World Cup group. You may have noticed this by now, but there's yet another new feature on Instagram, direct video chat. Where the direct messages usually are, there's now a camera icon in the corner that lets you start a video call. You can video chat with up to 4 people at a time, and it's all private, just like direct messages. And that's it for the main news today, but it's now time for 3 Question Thursday. This is Thursdays Only, where I spend a few minutes asking a few questions of a different expert every Thursday. This week, I want to talk about a new poll I came across recently. Axios cited a poll by HomeTap that found debt is one of the biggest daily concerns for 68% of millennials. So today we're talking about why that's the case, what can we do about debt, and some other money managing tips we should all know. My guest is Jamila Souffrant. She's a certified financial education instructor, money coach, podcaster, and founder of JourneyToLaunch.com, where she shares her journey to financial independence and helps others do the same. She's often a featured financial expert in media, and BuzzFeed named her podcast one of 27 podcasts to start listening to this year. So here's my conversation with Jamila Souffrant. Jamila, thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me, Erica.
So let's dive into this poll that I mentioned. Why do you think debt is such a concern for a lot of millennials today? And in your work, do you see this play out?
Oh, yes, of course. Well, one, a lot of millennials, they have graduated or are graduating with debt. So they're graduating with student loan debt, credit card debt, and they're already starting behind in terms of their net worth. And that's tough. That's tough when you wanna come out into the working world, you're working and you're not making yet your highest point of salary, and yet you are already behind in debt and overcome with expenses of the real world. A lot of people at that point, I find in my work, when I talk to my clients, they ignore or they push aside because it almost feels like, how can I get past this? How can I get over it? It seems almost just too much to handle. And then you have this avoidance issue that comes in, which then makes everything worse.
And do you think it's affecting millennials today more than college graduates of the past?
I think so, for the reasons that, one, college is more expensive now than in the past, just from, inflation and just the rising cost of college. So you have more millennials, more people graduating with student debt, way more than their parents graduated with. And then on top of that, you have job markets in which there's a lot more competition. So you're not graduating, getting the highest paying job or the job in your field that you want.
So what are some things that anyone with debt can do to try and overcome this?
I'd say it's just take stock of where you are with your finances, with your cash flow. So how much money do you have coming in? So what I often recognize with people is that they don't really understand quite like their income and their expenses. So first you need to figure that out. That's the most important thing. How much money do you have coming in? How much is going out? And creating a budget or a plan around that, because that then allows you to create a plan to pay off the debt and stay ahead of your finances and start saving towards the goals. So you can look at what you've spent in the previous month. So print out your bank statements, your credit card statements, and just write down what you spent money on within the past month. That's one way to do it. The other way is to from today is to start tracking expenses going forward. If you want to, get a stock of what you spend today, and then you can start creating a plan going forward on what you'd like to spend and what's reasonable for the money you bring home.
And one of the things I often hear is, should you be paying off debt or putting money in savings first? What do you say?
There is a way in which you can do both. So I think it's really important to pay off your debts as quickly as possible, but the younger you are, the more time you have on your hands to invest, to get invested into the market, to start putting money towards your 401k plan or whatever retirement option that you have so that your money can compound over time. And so I'd say, let's say you have student loan debt or consumer debt. The consumer debt in terms of credit cards and other things have the highest interest. So you can really aggressively work to pay those off first and really consciously make a decision not to go into any more of the credit card debt. But when it comes to your student loan debts, which typically have a lower interest, you can conservatively pay those down while you begin investing for your future. So let's say you get $100. There's a way to maybe think about, okay, I'll put 50 towards my debt additionally, and then I'll put 50 towards investing. Look for the resources. There are tons of resources out there that you can just even Google that are free that will help you in terms of understanding what's happening and just start. So whether that is starting to pay down your debt, starting to save, starting to invest, just start today, and every little bit counts.
And your show, Journey to Launch, is one of those resources. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks so much, Erica.
And as always, you can read more about today's guest and the topic and any of the news stories mentioned today in the show notes. Just head to thenewsworthy.com, click episodes, and find today's date. Don't forget to share this episode with your friends and leave a review if you got value out of it. The Newsworthy is ready for you by 4 a.m. Eastern Time every weekday, so we will chat again tomorrow. Have a great day.